everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Podium Pushers podcast with Justin and Brandon. We have arrived. We have made it. Some are sad about it. Some are happy about it. I think most are sad about it. But it is officially the last Grand Prix weekend of the year, which means it's our last predictions podcast of the year. We are here to predict the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. It has been an incredible season. I am not ready to say goodbye to it yet, but here we are, ready to make our last predictions of the year.
Yeah, it's crazy. We're already here. It was like just yesterday we were talking about car liveries and how Sauber was going to finish like P7 in the Constructors Championship and stuff like that. But that is not the case, and we're here today. I'm pumped for this episode, even though it is our last one of the year of 2024. It's going to be a great one.
I don't have the exact score off the top of my head. All I know is I'm winning by 6 points. I think it's like 32-26 or something. So you need one heck of a weekend to make a comeback and win this championship, but it is still all out on the table. So let's jump right into it. My podium pusher of the weekend is Yuki Tsunoda. He has had a bit of a rough patch. He usually does towards the middle and end part of the season, a couple good races sprinkled in there, but we kind of expected him to absolutely demolish Liam Lawson, perhaps. He hasn't done that. Liam has had some races where he has come out on top, but there are strong rumors that Sergio Perez is out of the Red Bull seat after this weekend. Yuki Tsunoda needs the Grand Prix of his life to secure that seat. He could maybe win this race and Christian Horner would still pass him up, but in order for him to even put his name in that hat, he needs to have an incredible weekend, qualifying and the race, and really just absolutely destroy Liam Lawson, and then have an incredible postseason test. But that's not included in this prediction. So Yuki Tsunoda, I think he is going to really just put his head down this weekend, have an incredible weekend, and prove that he deserves a shot in that Red Bull seat.
I have gone with Carlos Sainz. This is half logical, half my hopes and dreams. I really want Carlos to have a fantastic race. I want him to win. I want him to go out, help Ferrari achieve that victory in the Constructors Championship, and I think he's going to be my podium pusher of the weekend. I feel it in my bones.
Back marker of the weekend, I've gone with Oscar Piastri. I thought last weekend was going to be a bounce back weekend for him, and even though the results look good on paper, it still really wasn't a bounce back weekend for him. He was solidly outperformed by Lando Norris, and it just seems like something is missing from Oscar Piastri that we saw in the middle of the year. Like in the European part of the season, Oscar Piastri was killing it, and we're sitting here thinking he's going to outperform Lando Norris next year and should be the favorite McLaren driver to win the championship. Perhaps one of us even predicted that he would end the year with more points than Lando Norris. That is not coming true, and Oscar Piastri, there's just been a pretty big gulf between him and Lando Norris recently, and I don't think it's going to get turned around before the end of the year, so I'm predicting him as my back marker of the weekend.
I am not predicting Oscar Piastri, but I am predicting his teammate Lando Norris to be back marker of the weekend. This past weekend was just kind of another case of Lando. He made a small mistake that ended up, having a big implication on his race. And so, he finished P10, which is really not what McLaren needed in the constructors fight this past weekend. And so I think we're going to have a classic McLaren choke situation here at the end of the race or end of the season with this race. And Lando's not going to do well enough to secure that.
Grand Prix poll, I have gone for Charles Leclerc. Just another weekend of Justin predicting a Charles Leclerc pole position. Will it ever come true? I don't know. I think I'm on like 5 or 6 weekends in a row at this point that I've just thrown out the Charles Leclerc pole position prediction, and it does not happen. But Charles has performed well at Abu Dhabi in the past. He has gotten podiums around here, and I can never count him out over one lap. So Charles Leclerc, I think Ferrari are going to be on it this weekend in hopes to win the Constructors title. I think that'll start off well on Saturday with Charles Leclerc claiming pole.
I've gone with Max Verstappen on Grand Prix pole. I just really think that Max is going to get the most out of that car. Red Bull historically performs pretty well at Abu Dhabi, and I think Max has got one more pole position in him. this weekend. I think he'll hang on to it this time. So yeah, I'm gone with Max Verstappen.
Podium predictions in P3, I have gone for Carlos Sainz. I don't know if it is responsible or reckless, but I'm fully hopping on the Ferrari hype train this weekend. I think they're going to have a strong weekend, make a push down to the end for that Constructors Championship. I think it starts with Carlos Sainz. I hope he has a great weekend for his last weekend in Ferrari, and I have put him in P3.
Yeah, I'm also on the hype train. So much so that I have Max Verstappen in P3. I think Max is gonna get pole position. I just don't know if he's gonna have the pace to win the race. Especially if other teams have two drivers up at the front with Max. I think it's possible that Max will get P3. So that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, nothing quite like saying you're on the Ferrari hype train and then immediately predicting a non-Ferrari driver in third place. But that is the way it goes sometimes. I have put that exact same non-Ferrari driver in second place. I have gone for Max Verstappen in P2. This is really a shot in the dark. I think half of my reasoning is that I don't want it to be a McLaren driver, and the other half of my reasoning is I really have no idea how quick the Red Bull is, but I trust Max Verstappen to perform when it counts. And so Max Verstappen P2 just makes sense to me. I can't, in good consciousness, predict him to win. I equally cannot, in good consciousness, predict him to not be on the podium. So P2, right smack in the middle, Max Verstappen.
Yeah, Max Verstappen has performed time and time again. Um, my prediction of Max Verstappen in P3 and saying I'm on the Ferrari hype train is about to make a lot more sense because I've predicted Charles Leclerc to finish in P2. Um, and in a minute, I'll talk more about my dream scenario for this race that might not be an official prediction, but is just what I really, really want to happen. So.
Well, I think Charlie Claire will have a great race, and something tells me I know who your first place prediction is going to be. But I have gone with Charlie Claire in P1. I think he will do his part to help Ferrari take home the Constructors' Championship. But this also means in this situation that he would finish ahead of Lando Norris in the driver's standings. So I'm predicting a great weekend for Ferrari, a great weekend for Charles Leclerc. I think the Monegasque will win the last race of the 2024 Formula One season and finish first in Abu Dhabi.
Well, I think that's a great pick. I think that Carlos Sainz is going to win the last race of the season. And my dream scenario that I was just talking about is that Charles is leading the race. Max is 10 seconds down the road. He pulls over in the last corner and lets Carlos through to have one last Ferrari victory.
He's not gonna do that. He's
They
not
love
gonna
each
do.
other.
He's
They
not.
love each other.
Maybe before Vegas he would have done that, but who knows if there's still tensions in that relationship or what's going on. But that is not gonna happen.
It's my dream. It's my dream scenario. So we'll
Yeah,
see. We'll
it
see.
would be great if they drove across the line in Ferrari formation and Carlos wins by half a tenth and they finish right next to each other. That would be awesome, but it's not. It's simply not going to happen. But your predictions could still come true should that not happen. So we will have to wait and see. Our two push-in predictions, where it gets real crazy and bold over here. My first one is that seven or more teams will make it into Q3 this weekend. That feels really bold. That's 70% of the field making it into the last session. I was originally gonna go with six, but I feel like Sergio Perez is probably a lock to not make Q3, and so that opens up one more slot. Just to make it a little bolder, I went ahead and added another team and made it seven. My second bold prediction is that one of the rookies crash over the course of the weekend. This could include one of the fill-in drivers that has been on the grid for the last couple of races of the year, but also we're seeing some teams fill their FP1 driver requirement this weekend. And so if one of those drivers also puts it in the wall, that has to fall into this prediction as well. So pretty bold, but also there's a couple scenarios that it could happen. So I'm feeling good about both those.
Yeah, I like both of those predictions. I think they're great. We're locked in the midst of a tight prediction podium pusher championship here, and I have to go with some bold predictions from some reliable drivers. And by reliable, I mean slightly unreliable. Um, I am going with Sergio Perez. I'm willing to say that he crashes out of at least one of these sessions over the course of the weekend. So any of the practice sessions, qualifying, or the race. I think Sergio is going to have a crash, end his weekend, his time with Red Bull on a low. And then my second push-in prediction is I'm going to say Max Verstappen tops at least two of the sessions. So I'm hoping that's pole and one of the practices. We'll see what happens. But I think Max is going to get the most out of the car this weekend, but hopefully not enough to win the race. So those are my push and predictions. I'm titling that the duality of Red Bull. We'll see what happens, but I feel good about him.
The fans at PBK underscore 96 underscore says Max Verstappen wins. We'll see if that happens. That, is always a
Definitely a
possibility with
possibility.
Max Verstappen. And as always, we want to get to react to more of your predictions. So head over to our social medias, give us your best predictions for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, or leave them in the comments of this video. And we will be sure to react to some of them in our race reaction podcast. But that is it. We have completed the full season. We have predicted 24 Grand Prix. It is coming down to this. It has been a joy to get to do this with you all season. Brandon, what are your parting podium thoughts?
Man, what a season. I'm excited for this last race. Abu Dhabi obviously is a special track, holds a special place in my heart because 2021 was my first full season watching Formula One, being a fan. It came down to that last race, and we've got a championship coming down to the last race in Abu Dhabi again. So I'm pumped. I'm excited. It's going to be a great weekend. Um, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, who would have thought when I got you into Formula One over COVID in 2020 that your very first full season would have turned out how it did to end how it did in Abu Dhabi? What a first season to be watching the sport. We don't have to get emotional. We don't have to say our goodbyes yet. There's still plenty of content still to come from this Abu Dhabi weekend. But that is all we've got for this episode. Thank you for watching or listening to another episode of the Podium Pushers podcast. As always, like, follow, subscribe, leave a comment, follow us on social media, do all of the things. It's free to you, helps us out a ton. We would greatly appreciate it. We will see you in the next episode.
See ya.